New York Times seems to be so desperate to find some savior figure in Russia that they don't care about their credibility anymore. Sobchak is not a socialite or a critic of regime. She may be the highest-born aristocrat of Russia, flesh of the ruling St. Petersburg gang. Modern Russian elite was not created by Putin. It was casted in the corridors of the St. Petersburg city government during the mayorship of Anatoly Sobchak, Xenia's father. Sobchak's team included Putin, Medvedev, Chubey, Kudrin, Miller, Sechin, Churov, Gref, Zubkov, Kozak, Zubkov, Naryshkin and many others. After Putin inherited the throne, he appointed his all St. Petersburg pals at pretty much all positions of importance. Sobchak governed over St. Petersburg in 1990 to 1996. Putin worked for him first as his deputy for foreign affairs and then as his first deputy. At this point he was a typical corrupt official, using his authority for self and his gang enrichment. In the 1990s St. Petersburg was involved into foreign barter operations. It shipped oil, metals etc. from the State Reserve Fund abroad in return for food. In 1992 the city MPs, Sally Commission, demanded Sobchak to fire Putin, who managed this program for fraud. He ignored it. OFC. Many foreigners assumed that the collapse of the USSR became the biggest personal catastrophe for Putin. I think it false. It was the defeat of Sobchak on the 1996 elections. Yakovlev became a new mayor, so most of Sobchak's team was forced to quit. Absolute catastrophe. Putin's aversion to the party politics, media, elections, is probably dictated by his personal experience. His worst personal catastrophe resulted from his boss losing the elections. So when Putin came to power he abolished all kinds of political competition on all levels. What is worse, Yakovlev wasn't an outsider. He was Sobchak's own deputy who challenged him on elections and won. Total betrayal. Putin learned his lesson and would later allow only the carefully managed elections with pre-selected rivals from the controlled opposition. Sobchak loses elections and most of his core team has to leave. To the streets you go. Chances of Putin would look bleak, if not for other St. Petersburg gang members who were doing career in Moscow. A St. Petersburg economist Chubey was one of the great Yeltsin's courtiers. When Sobchak lost elections, Chubey invited his now unemployed deputy Kudrin to Moscow, to work in presidential administration. Then Kudrin invited Putin. That was a chain migration of the former Sobchak's team to Kremlin. In 1996 to 2000 Putin's career skyrocketed. Upon him succeeding Yeltsin, the former Sobchak's gang became the new elite. But the rise of Putin will be a topic for another discussion. Now let's sum up what we've learned today. 1. Modern Russian elite was not casted by Putin. It was casted by Sobchak and then chain migrated to Kremlin upon his defeat. Almost all of Putin's key appointments are selected from the former Sobchak's team. 2. Defeat of Sobchak on the 1996 elections was the personal catastrophe for many of his team, including Putin. Never again. They are deeply distrustful of the political competition and will never allow it. To be fair, they are distrustful of politics either. They are bureaucrats. 3. Still, Sobchak's gang is playing into the bad cop versus good cop game. Some of them pretend to be liberals, other patriots. It's all show. It was once revealed to me in a dream that a committee that decided to annex Crimea in 2014 was almost 50-50 liberal patriotic. 4. Xenia Sobchak is the highest-born aristocrat in Russia. She is from non-ruling elite, doesn't take decisions, but she belongs to the circle by the right of birth. She's playing a liberal and is doing great service to Putin in this capacity, as an oppositionary. 5. Why? Because she is nearly universally hated and despised. If Chubey is the most hated public figure in Russia, Sobchak may be somewhat close to number 2. That makes her the best oppositionary ever, from Kremlin's perspective of course. 6. Once again, Kremlin elite is traumatized by the loss in 1996 elections. They will never allow the uncontrolled political competition anymore. Ergo, They'll push forward universally hated public figures as opposition leaders, exactly because they're unelectable, like Xenia. 7. Putin's strategy of pushing forward unelectable opposition makes total sense. The thing is, you can't push forward no-names. No-names are not liked, but they are not hated either, so they may accumulate protest votes and win accidentally. 8. For this reason Kremlin will push forward those opponents only that can't accumulate the protest voted. Nobody will be voting for them even out of protest, because they are just too repulsive. Perfect oppositionary in Kremlin's view, like Xenia Sobchak. 9. Putin's team puts a lot of effort in controlling and managing the politics. That includes the elements of theatre as well. They're playing in good versus bad cops, liberals versus patriots, regime versus opposition. Do not fall for that. That all show. 10. Do not look for savior figures either, because they do not exist. The problem is not in Putin, who isn't fundamentally different from his predecessors, but in the system of unlimited power, which can't be changed by simply changing the monarch. The end.